joined by our guest this afternoon, Achal Malhotra, former Indian ambassador, Major General Dhruv Katoch, retired director, India Foundation. Good afternoon to all of you. Shanjoy, to you first. I mean, the way we have seen this campaign, which was bitterly fought, if I may use that word, and the kind of results that we are seeing today. What are your key takeaways specifically for India? Now, on one hand, we all are aware of this great bonhomie between Prime Minister Modi and Donald Trump in his first term, of course, as the president of the US. But on the other hand, the statements he made, for example, he called India the, biggest abuser in terms of tariffs and the kind of policies that he has specifically on the H-1B issue. So what does it mean, this Trump 2.0 for India?
Well, first of all, to answer your first question, the fact that Barack Obama specifically had built a coalition of educated whites, blacks, Latinos, young people, and so on. Now, that coalition seems to have frayed. You need a lot of enthusiasm, and Kamala Harris clearly did not have the charisma to get people enthused to come and vote for her. Let's be very honest. That's exactly what happened. There wasn't the enthusiasm for her as there was for Obama and to an extent to Joseph Biden. That's the first thing. As far as a Trump presidency for India is concerned, well, yes, everybody knows that the two presidents, the president and the prime minister, have a very good equation. About that, there is no doubt. But there are issues. This tariff issue. Now, is this something that will apply to all countries? And would it apply to China and some other countries that America is not in favor of? Would it apply to friendly countries? That's a problem that India and America will have to work out. But the view from Delhi is the fact that the India-America relationship is so broad-based, it actually doesn't matter who is president and who is prime minister now. Because in areas like defense, in areas like the fact that there is Quad, that the foundational agreements are done, the fact that there is very strong economic relations, the Americans have said we'll get an Indian to the International Space Station, so there's space cooperation, agreement on minerals, agreement on all these special things like AI and quantum and all that. All of that suggests that regardless of who is president, who is prime minister, there will be bumps.
Yes.
Tariff is a bump.
In fact,
but
Dr.
it can be
Shankar
negotiated.
had also once said that, on trade and immigration, there is going to be a need of hard negotiation with the new administration, especially if it's going to be Donald Trump. Srinjoy, requesting you to stay on with us. Achal Malhotra, now, what, in your opinion, resonated the most with the American voters? And why do you think they have rejected Kamala Harris? Because, they had an opportunity to elect the first woman president in its entire history, but they've rejected it. What are the key points in your opinion?
I think it's a combination of multiple factors. First of all, she was a late entry. I think Democrats did the mistake of renominating Joe Biden, at least showing the intention of renominating him. And it was only midway that they withdrew him. Then comes Kamala Harris. Unfortunately, she didn't have much of experience behind her. On the contrary, she carried the legacy of, Biden's tenure, which was not very colorful. There was a lot of inflation. Economy was under stress. These all bread and butter matters, and also America's prestige as a world power, I think, also on the decline because it was sliding from the number one position, one way or the other. Withdrawal from Afghanistan, failure to, influence Netanyahu to the extent probably the Americans wanted, prolonged war, Russia, Ukraine, all that things had some indirect impact, but at the same time. But finally, I think the issue is that he failed to inspire. The issues raised, the plan by Donald Trump, are very core issues, and also since he did not suffer from incumbency. And for Kamala Harris to come and say, well, she would address or give had a plan of action. Obviously, she was to answer why in the last 4 years they had not addressed these issues. So Trump had a clarity of thought. He also, despite his, short-temperedness or, the mercurial temperament and other reputation of being not a follower of his visions, but individualistic approach to all the issues, he
Right.
somehow has the image of being a stronger cat.
Okay.
Not just because he's a man versus woman.
So you're saying perhaps
just
as a
that
leader,
he sounded strong, a
appeared
person
to
who's
be
capable of taking difficult decisions.
okay. As a leader,
And
you
he-
think that he probably appeared to be, more decisive. There was a clarity of thought also when he was, doing rallies, etc. Because he was very clear. His idea is to make America great again. Now, Major General Dhruv Katoch, I want to understand from you. What is your reading of the swing states? Okay, we'll go across to Major General Dhruv Katoch in just a bit. But Shanjoy, now, the role of swing states in this election was very, very important. And 3 of them have already gone to Donald Trump. And these include Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. And all these 3 have got like a significant amount of Indian American population. Talk to us a little bit about the Indian American factor, small in size, but huge in terms of impact.
Well, Indian American, yes. In the past, the Indian Americans were largely voting Democrat. Now they seem to be splitting their votes. Some vote Republican, some vote Democrat. But as far as Pennsylvania is concerned, now that's where I think a huge mistake was probably made. Now, if the first decision any presidential candidate has to make is to decide on his or her vice president. Now, even among Democrats, there is talk that if they had taken Shapiro as the vice presidential candidate instead of Tim Walz, because Shapiro is from Pennsylvania, he's very, very popular, then this 50-50 state could have been averted. Pennsylvania all the time is a 50-50 state, but Shapiro is a Democrat, he's Pennsylvanian, he's widely popular, and maybe he could have made a difference.
Right.
And if he had made a difference in Pennsylvania, there could have been a similar run-on in Michigan and Wisconsin.
Right.
So getting Tim Walz, who's a very good man, may not have been the best decision after all.
Okay, Srinjoy, stay with us. Major General Dhruv Katoch is back with us. Major General Dhruv Katoch, during the campaign, towards the last leg of the campaign, we also heard Donald Trump raising the issue of violence against Hindus. There was a fair share of, Indianness as far as his campaign is concerned, the kind of candidates he picked. For example, the wife of the vice president candidate that he picked is also, of Indian origin. So do you think this India factor also helped Donald Trump's campaign in a big way, that helped him perhaps make bigger inroads in swing states like Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia?
Thank you. Yes, you see, traditionally, the Indian voter in the United States has voted Democrat. A very large percentage votes Democrat. And I think that has changed now. A very large percentage now, I think the swing has come to the Republicans. And this has made a difference, especially in terms of a very large number of Indians who have settled there. And I personally know quite a few of them. They have been very active in the Republican camp. And so to that extent, I'm sure that that swing vote has taken place. The statement made by Donald Trump of the killings of the Hindus taking place in Bangladesh, I think that has also had a very strong appeal amongst a large voter segment in the United States. They view Donald Trump as a person who can actually bring a halt to what is happening in that country.
Okay, interesting. Achal Malhotra, what do you think? Do you think perhaps because Kamala Harris didn't really use her Indian heritage to her advantage, wasn't very vocal about the state of Hindus, violence against Hindus in parts of the world, that probably also impacted her chances in this election, something that went in favor of Donald Trump, especially via the influence of Indian American voters in the US?
I think this would have played a relatively minor role because Americans at large were looking at the issues which were issues mainly of the bread and butter,
Okay.
inflation, joblessness. To a certain extent, Donald Trump, pronouncements on illegal migration also may have worked. But as we all know that America and Western Europe, illegal migrants are in a way welcome because they are willing to work at half the wages of minimum wages, and willing to do jobs which the natives are not willing to do, but yet may have appealed because the way Donald Trump made out this case. And also, I'm not very sure because Donald Trump, there is a Hindu constituency definitely, but there are Muslims also. So by criticizing, picking up a Muslim country, saying Muslims are doing atrocities against Hindus, in a way he was also speaking against the Muslims. And but if he had he covered it as a fundamental, his onslaught of the fundamentalism, that's a different issue. So it could have been counterproductive. That's my feeling and my assessment. But yet he did, and whether this played a role or not, whether he is genuinely interested or it was only a lip service, we will have to wait and see, because ultimately we all know, I mean, there is a lot of talk about why the change of government placed Bangladesh, because the United States of America wanted some island in Bangladesh which Sheikh Hasina had refused. And then that followed, and he ultimately had to leave, and the gentleman who has come is considered as an American man. So how Donald Trump is going to use him, he turns out to be, looking after the interests of Americans in that part of the world. So all that has to be seen. So in a nutshell, I would say it's a very good statement from the perspective of the Hindus living in America.
Right.
But whether it really turned the table, is very difficult.
Okay, interesting. Major General Dhruv Katoch, now, simply, what does it mean for India, given the kind of tensions that we have currently with Canada? There are wars that are going on across the world. So, as far as Trump 2.0 is concerned, what does it mean for India, in your opinion, and for the world?
Very frankly, I think Trump 2.0 is going to be very good for India. Having said that, let me also clarify that regardless of whichever party was in power in, whether it's the Republicans or the Dems in the United States, the India-US relationship is actually bipartisan now. We are pulled on well with both, with either government. But I think with the Trump administration is going to be much, much better than what it would have been with the Dems, with the Democrats, especially because the Indian Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, has got a very good rapport with the US President, President Trump. Having said that, as far as when you're looking at the international scene, I have a feeling now that the Russia-Ukraine war is on its last legs. President Zelensky will compromise or do whatever he has to, but that war is coming to a close. As far as the war in Israel is concerned, the Israel-Hamas conflict, I think there'll be a lot of pressure now on Hamas to hand over the hostages. Should that happen, I see a very early closure to that war also. I think, but more coming closer to home, I think it is going to be a great impact of the Trump presidency on what is going to happen in Bangladesh. I think the military regime and Mohammed Yunus, who's been placed at the head of the government as of now, I think he is going to be in a very, very difficult situation because the country is facing very severe economic shortages. There are problems arising. And the Muslim fundamentalist, the Jamaat, is really going on a rampage. So there's going to to be a tremendous upheaval taking place there. And with this Trump presidency, I see that coming up a bit sooner than what it would have otherwise. I won't be surprised if a regime change takes place again over the next few months in Bangladesh.
Interesting. So the broad view is that it is going to be good for India as far as Trump 2.0 in the White House is concerned. But how he approaches the issue of Bangladesh, what view he has on the ongoing conflicts around the world, that's going to be very, very important to see. For the moment, thank you very much, all of you gentlemen, for joining us here and putting things in perspective for our viewers. We will slip into a very